All right, so today is the day where we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff that I said that I was going to do a long, long time ago, and that is that we've got our little Amazon Amazon specials, like $26 oil catch can that we are going to find a place to mount in the engine bay. It's a lot more cramped than I expected it would to be. Like, honestly, there's not a lot of spots where you can really get in. Like, you're like, oh, there's so much, but it's like there's a lot of shallow spots where it doesn't actually go down into spaces. So I may have to come up with something clever. The best place I found is actually kind of where the horn is. A lot of the aftermarket kits, like the actual quality engine oil coolers, quality, whatever you want to call, they actually take advantage of, not having the stock airbox. But since this drivetrain is going to be staying completely stock for this season, and I'm just aiming to get more seat time with the car, that airbox isn't going anywhere, because for the stock motor, this is one of the best air solutions flat out there. Like, Honda knew what they were doing with it. Yeah, you don't get the same sound, and some people go, cold air intake, bro, it's always better, but that's a lie. It's gonna vary from car to car, and in this one's case, the stock airbox is great, and you don't have to worry about all the extra maintenance and care that goes with a cold air intake. So, like I said, we got our little buddy here. We're going to find a place to mount that up, and then we're going to basically cap the PCV valve and then have the other intake hose run straight into this little guy. So, again, I guess so you guys know what I'm talking about. This is the PCV hose. I have bought, actually, that's another thing I forgot to show off. So, hold on. Let me go ahead. And I apologize for the shakiness. I promise I'm going to get a better camera that has stabilization, because this is an old Hero 4. Choking on myself. Bought this bag of assorted little hose plugs. Like, they're for powder coating, but they're gonna get the job done. And I did test out, we do have nipples of all the right sizes, so I should include that with all my junk. But I'll also include a link in the description for that I bought. If you don't want rainbow colors, then sorry, I couldn't find a black one that was a multi-size, because I didn't know what size I needed. But if I do find out what size I actually ended up needing, I can post a link to some black ones if you want to keep it simple. So, like I said, I'm going to plug that guy up, plug that guy up, and then this hose is going to get converted, so I'm just going to yoink this whole bit, this specific bit, and then plug off all the different things I need to plug off for that. And then, basically, we're going to have all of that excess oil, instead of it going straight into the intake, it's going to go into the catch can, and then we'll clear that out. Man, I'm holding this way too close to my face. But yeah, so then the other things we're going to do today, we got some titanium engine drain bolts. Actually, specifically, engine, transmission, and rear differential. Yes, I know I didn't point to them in the right order, but, that's what they are. So we're going to go ahead and get those installed. They've got the little neodymium magnets in it, so it'll help catch some of the little shards and whatnot. Then we've got the Ballad Sports oil pan baffle. So this one, there's not a lot of data on it right now, but as of right now, it's like the only option that's bolt-in versus weld-in, which you could then say, oh, of course, because weld-in's the right way to do it. But I was kind of curious to give it a shot, because, like I said, I've got in my previous videos I mentioned, I've got another motor that I'm going to be working on, so honestly, I'm just going to try new things to see how they work, because if this actually works well and keeps the engine alive and keeps particles down, then it could be very good. But I do know that there are other brands, like the Moroso one, which is a weld-in one, but that one has got tons of great reviews and all of the other things. So if I end up, spinning a bearing because of low oil pressure, which that is actually going to be another project I'm going to work on in a few weeks. I'm going to try and get oil pressure, because I'm going to be adding a bung that has where I can put oil pressure and oil temperature. And so I am going to be adding a gauge for that, so I'll be able to tell, oh, I went low on oil pressure. That's great. But like I said, hopefully this little guy helps out. And then lastly, we've got the nicest thing, arguably, of this whole kit, which is the Mishimoto engine oil cooler, blah, 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 blah. I'm butchering what it's called, but you get the general gist. It's got these really, really nice braided AN lines. I opted to get their thermostatic plate right here. So basically what that means is that instead of just always sending oil through the oil cooler, which is terrible when it's cold, because that means your engine oil never gets up to temp, this little plate, I'm pointing at it without showing it, so this little plate basically has a little It has a little valve. I don't actually remember the mechanics of how it all works, but basically at around like, I think it's like 215, 210, somewhere in the high 200s range, that plate actually opens up and starts sending oil through the oil cooler and starts cooling everything down. And then as soon as temperatures drop, then it closes back up again. So that way I don't have to worry about getting the car up to temp when I have this cooler on. So these are all just survivability mods for today. Like, none of these add performance or power. They are all purely just to make sure that oil is staying where it's supposed to be, oil isn't going where it's not supposed to be, and that oil stays the right temperature. And obviously there will be more mods that kind of get added along the way, but these are the things we're going to be doing today. So there you go. Alright, so one of the first things we gotta do... Oop, God, this is a mess. Okay, so one of the first things we gotta do is, you can see that's where the oil filter normally goes. So we have this little adapter guy, and once we put that guy on, that's what's gonna allow us to tighten down the tighten down the little sandwich plate where our little friend needs to get connected. So just gonna get that connected, and then yeah, in just a second I'll show you what it looks like when we have our little oil cooler friend fully installed. And then, I gotta get a wrench to get that, but yeah, you'll see that in a minute. Alright, so we have got this adorable little bracket, adorable little cooler hooked up with all of its brackets and stuff. However, the instructions were done on an AP2, which I guess has a few things that are slightly different than mine. So a lot of the mounting point things are a little different. So we're going to hunt around and we're going to basically try and fit this up, and we'll see where holes line up, and then we'll bolt it in. But yeah, because they're talking about, oh wait, there is a horn bracket on there now that we have the shield off. Okay, well, never mind. I just lied to you. We're just dumb. So, anywho, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount up this bad boy. And, yeah, then we'll have a pretty cooler that helps hide how ugly my AC condenser is. Yeah. Okay, so that actually wasn't too terrible. I will say, if you're doing it by yourself, you are going to struggle a little bit, because there's just so many weird and awkward angles. Like, I'll show you. You got to hold that horn in place while also threading that bolt through, while also holding this bracket in place, while also tightening the bolt. And then down here, you got to do the same thing. You got to hold this in place while you hold the bolt in place while you do the other thing. This one was actually really easy, though. But all in all, definitely something, if you have a friend to help out, just having that extra hand is everything. So anyway, this is my friend. Thanks, friend. So yeah, but as you can see, cooler is all installed up in there. It's actually, like, honestly kind of a really nice fit. Another thing I will kind of complain about is, anything aftermarket isn't going to be perfect fitment. They all say, fitment, blah, 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 blah. They all make promises to the world, but it's never actually perfect fitment. In this case especially, it's going to be kind of really hard to show you on camera, but this really butts up against the AC condenser line behind it. So you have to kind of, like, not in a bad way, you just have to kind of push it back a little bit. Just push it back. or I'm showing you with my face instead, but you have to kind of push it back a little bit. But as long as you do that, then all that stuff bolts up. They even notch, like this is one of the nice touches, is that bracket is notched specifically to fit right there. And then if there's one other piece of advice I could give anyone trying to install this on their S2K, it's the same advice that any mechanic will give you. Bolt everything on loosely first, because if you try and hard bolt it, you won't have the play that you need to get everything to line up just right. And that is especially true with this kit. But like I said, now the cooler's hooked up, so then you're just going to keep on watching us install the rest of it, because now we got to do the lines, we got to tighten down the plate, and a few other things. So keep on watching for that. Alright, so we didn't get quite as far as I was hoping we would, but that's because I introduced a lot of delays to all of our progress, as I tend to do. But the good thing is that the oil cooler is officially totally snug in place. The AN lines are successfully run, and they go to the little thermostatic plate right there, and then you got the oil filter on. So again, definitely something that was really nice to have some help with, because getting the lines in wasn't hard, but getting them lined up against the thermostatic plate was a bit of a pain in the ass, because they're super stiff. Like you don't have a lot of play in AN lines. So, or at least in these AN lines anyway. So for these, you had to do a lot of flexing and stuff to get everything to line up right. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, put everything on loosely first, then tighten everything down. It helped out a lot. But then also the space in there was a little awkward. So luckily I had a 27mm impact socket, but that meant that I had to use my bigger torque wrench to get it torqued down. So again, another thing, he helped me hold this wrench in place because it's like at an awkward angle. So like I said, oil pan baffle and everything is going to come next, but that is going to be saved for another day. In the meantime, though, the oil cooler was honestly probably the hardest part. So now that that's done, next thing I'll go ahead and just continue to let oil drain out of this, and then after that we're gonna go ahead and fill it up with oil. Both the engine, trans, and diff. Get all of those things oiled up the way they need to be, and then after that we'll start putting things back together. But the baffle will definitely take a little bit, because I have to. The temperatures, we live in the Midwest, so the temperatures are, I don't know, it's like freezing outside right now, something like that. So it'll take a while for the RTV, and honestly, I need to double check and see whether or not I should use RTV or if I should just use Honda Bond. If I should use Honda Bond, then cool, I can pick some up while I'm at the Honda dealership, because I also didn't have the foresight to pick up the Honda gear oil for the transmission, so need to do that. There's a lot of things I didn't have a lot of foresight on, but like I said, that's luckily it's not like I have to go racing tomorrow. So until next time, we're gonna leave it at this, and we'll do other stuff later. Peace out. Alright, so, I once again, the unfortunate nature of being a stupid busy person is I just forget to record things because I have to get shit done. But, the upside is, I'm going to flip the camera around here. He's back together! He didn't leak anything, so all in all, everything's checking out. So, the oil cooler is officially installed. You can see pretty little lines run through there. I get to put the air box in and fight that. Is already had to fight it a little bit. So it all fits together. You just have, it doesn't fit back as perfectly as it once did. So the airbox is going to go down. Hopefully these don't fight me too much putting the airbox in. But obviously the annoying thing is a lot of times these are designed so it's like, oh, they're doing all this stuff. They probably already have a cold air intake. But you can see a little oil cooler nicely nested right up in there in the mouth of the car. And actually let me pan out a little bit so you can see. But yeah, it's right there. So hold on, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to flip things, go back to this, and, come on, give me, so anyway, like I said, we've got a lot of stuff to do and I'm probably going to go ahead and grab my other camera and start recording other things, but, like I mentioned before in a previous video, we have all of our materials. I picked a few more materials, you can see, hanging off the back of the truck, but today is going to be getting the trailer ready, because we got to build that rack and we got to build it fast. So we're going to do that. Peace out.